earlier this month, you guys were clearly making the rounds. Actually, it was probably like a week ago when I first saw it. Probably just blew up all over it. But you all released the which is essentially a device that allows you to shoot fireballs from your. I'm sure you guys can probably put that in more eloquent terms. And then last year, you all just totally blew up. There's probably at least a million, almost probably 1.5 million views on your video with the initial pyro, which shoots fireballs about 10 feet into the air. So what can you tell me, I guess, in the insanity of the last couple of weeks, just how has the reception been to the new product?
It's been great so far. When we launched it last year, for magicians as an added feature for your magic act and a way to enhance your performances. And it went viral, and anybody who likes cool toys basically saw it and was like, wait, I can do what? So it did very well. And all the feedback so far has been great. I mean, most people, it's just genuine questions about, I haven't gotten it yet. Is there something I can watch beforehand? So, so far feedback has been just as positive as it was with the original, which is basically people saying, I can't believe you've created something that allows me to actually shoot fireballs from my hands. So it's one of those childhood dreams that we're allowing people to kind of live. So
absolutely.
So far, everything's been great. There's a few people who genuinely buy it and say, hey, look, it's not what I thought it was. Or I had one guy say, hey, my wife found out I bought this and she lost her mind and she doesn't want it in the house. And that's fine. I get that. I mean, you are playing with fire and it's a pyrotechnic. It's not a toy. So those, I would say, 98% of the people are stupid happy over it. And the other 2% are like, yeah, maybe I'll think twice about this. So it's been really, really positive.
That's awesome. And, I appreciate your candid response. Most people would give you the kind of marketing spiel and leave out the secondhand part. But, that makes sense. And that's totally
I got my marketing manager here probably rolling his eyes at me right now.
I'm like frantically typing, no.
Everybody loves it. Nobody said anything about it bad.
Yeah, it's the most amazing thing ever.
Yeah. There's also a guy that posted a video of it's like 300 rocket launch or bottle rockets in a huge fake gun. It looks awesome. And he lights them all off. And he's just lighting up an entire field with it. And, again, the point of pyro came out of a necessity because it's something I wanted to use in my act. And I open my stand-up shows with it. And I talk about inventing and following your dreams. And nothing, you can't, if you would have said 5 years ago, hey, I'm going to invent something that shoots fireballs from your hand, but you can show your hand's empty and it's remote controlled, and you'd say you're nuts. That's not going to happen. And if it does, it's not going to work anyway. The point of it is to enhance what you do. There's something called a fire wallet in magic, which is a beautiful thing. And fire comes out of a wallet. You open up a wallet and the entire room stops what they're doing and looks at you. And that was the idea of it. If you can, without saying a word, get everybody's attention, which as magicians is a very hard thing to do, but it's a crucial thing. We need to have people pay attention to you. Fire is a great way to do that.
When did you actually get involved with Ellusionist as an organization?
I've been with E for about 4 years now, and I started as they have a Facebook page, and they used to run a thing called Gold Wednesdays, which was a competition where you would ask the users to, for instance, go out and film a coin trick, put it on and then upload it, and we'll vote on. There's different platforms, vote on the best performance or the best sleight or whatever it is.
Right.
And I did those. I did like 4 in a row and won 4 in a row. And it's not like, there was like 10 people that were doing it, but I won 4 in a row and then submitted something for a contest and lost the contest. And I was like, no offense, but mine was original. My piece was, I think I should have at least gotten 3rd place. And then they contacted me and said, you didn't win because we want to produce that trick as a trick. So that was my foot in the door. And then just through, emailing and making it known who I was, I got into the company. So it was about 4 years ago, just from making myself seen and heard. And then once I had a little bit of an in, then I just spit out ideas and made it very apparent that I was about the company and got noticed at the right time. And then it sort of grew into where it is now. So,
yeah. So maybe you can give us a little bit of background on the company.
So I've not been at the company for last 4 years like Adam has. But basically, Ellusionist was started 15 years ago by a guy called Brad Christian. And he noticed that after performing an effect for one of his nieces, that teaching magic, being able to teach dads, and it would make things a lot easier.
Sure.
And no one had really done it online before. So Ellusionist is the sort of world's first online magic marketplace. We teach magicians, and Brad and the team has been teaching magicians original magic tricks for the last 15 years, and starting a bit of a custom playing card movement too.
Sure.
So I joined the company pretty much in the same vein as Adam. I used to publish original magic tricks online as a kind of like side thing to earn royalties. And then I got friends who worked for the company, and then Adam kind of like headhunted me. Let's say, he gave me a call and said, "We need you to work on this."
Sure.
And I was more than happy to join.
Very cool. So I guess maybe we can even start before you all joining the company. What drew you to be interested in magic, illusions, and tricks?
I got fooled young by a friend with a classic, The Silk Vanish, and I was 7, 8, something like that. He wouldn't tell me how it was done. I said, he takes a silk and it vanishes. And I said, it's up your sleeves. So he went, rolled the sleeves up and did it again. And I was like, Jimmy, kid's name was Jimmy Mitchell. I'll remember him for the rest of my life. And he wouldn't tell me how it was done. And I was like, I know you, like, you're not magic. And I was pissed and just ate at me. And then I found the book in the bookstore and learned it. And I showed my dad that night. And I remember my dad did the same thing I did. He was like, roll your sleeves up. And I was like, oh, I tricked him. And I rolled my sleeves up and did it. And then he was fooled. And I could see, I was 8. And my dad was like, and at 8 years old, to be smarter than your dad is a powerful feeling, you know.
Absolutely.
You really do feel like a superhero. And that was it. And from right then, I was like, I'm reading the entire book cover to cover. And then I went to school, and, you know, it's just if you can do magic, it's a cool thing. And people talk about it, and it's intriguing. And when you're young and you're trying to figure out your place and what makes you cooler than other people, magic fits right into line with it. And I was hooked, and that was it. Never really looked back. I kind of stayed with it my entire life. And I would like to think I got better, but I know a lot of people would argue that I'm still the same 8-year-old hack job I was, but then just got very lucky, and now I get to make a living out of it, which is amazing. You know,
that's awesome.
If you enjoy what you do to make a living, then you never work a day. I mean, G can contest. I don't think we ever feel like today's the day after Thanksgiving, and I wasn't like, oh man, I got to go to work. It was like, cool, I'm gonna call G, call the guy, see what's going on. And it's just a blessing. It's very, very lucky to have a job that I genuinely enjoy waking up and doing every day. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. And my parents don't even think it's a real job. They're like none of my friends and parents, they're like, oh, so you're going to Toronto or New York to meet Adam and the team and hang out, or, oh, like, you're going to be doing this week, or it's kind of to everyone else, it doesn't seem like a real job.
You're going to with your friends and your toys again, huh?
Yeah, but I got hooked on magic. I don't know if you've ever heard of him in the States. There's an English magician called Dynamo. No? He did this thing with a deck of cards called Sybil, which goes like this. So, basically a card flourish.
Gotcha.
So I saw that on TV when I was like 16, and he fooled Wyclef Jean, like an old school rapper. And when I saw it, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen magic like it. Love the card moves. And the next day I was early for like a job interview. I was 16 years old, and I went into a bookstore to waste some time. And on literally straight as I walked in the door, on the bookshelf was Encyclopedia of Magic, and it was for £4, which is about, I don't know, $6.50. It was really cheap. It was a huge book. So yeah, I went into the coffee shop and I learned this trick where you take a card and you shake it and it vanishes.
Nice.
And then you bring it back. And I went into the job interview, and They said, "What are your hobbies?" And I lied. I had nothing. I didn't have any hobbies.
Sure.
So I lied and I said magic. And then he said, "What can you do?" And he gave me a business card and I made it vanish.
Right.
And then he was like, "You're hired."
That's awesome.
It was for a retail job, and I was like, "Oh no, now I've got to continue this lie and be a magician."
I think every single job I've had, and I think I say this in honesty, every single one I've done magic tricks at the interview, and I figured out a way, one way or another, to incorporate it. To the point of one of my favorite jobs, I even printed out their logo and had the whole trick planned out and everything. Like this was going to be a legitimate magic trick.
Sure.
And they hated Matt. They were just like, "Oh, that's cute." So I had like all this setup that would have been super impromptu seeming, on like hours and hours of making this thing up. And I had the script, I had everything. I had them write down the path I wanted them. And then the head of HR was like, "Oh, magic, oh, that's cute," and just skipped right over it. I'm like, "But I have this right. Like, you have to see this. You just ask the question. It'll work if you ask." But
oh man,
that was the only one. And then after the fact, I showed them. I got hired on anyway, and I showed them, and they were like, "That's amazing." They did a video of it and showed the company, but the story was funny that I was trying to con them into asking the question that I could do the trick for, and they never bit. I had it all set. I was like Malini G, but I never got to pull my ice block out, you know?
How did you get involved, Elliot, with tech blogging and product reviews and things? So you're a marketing guy by trade.
I am.
Good, because we're actually looking for some new marketing people at the company.
I don't know.
Oh no,
the accent, and I don't have the sweet scarf. So.
Exactly what we're looking for. Less metrosexual and more American.
Damn.
Wow, I feel offended. Hey, listen,
he knows it's out of love.
The Queen would be very disappointed when I tell her. I tell her what you've done, Adam. By the way, when I got to New York, like I've never been to America before, and I met up with Adam in New York right before we filmed the Pyro Mini trailer.
Sure.
And I'm just so happy that I was born in the UK, because the accent, Adam, doesn't it? Like the English accent.
It's unfair. I mean, it's not. It's really not. I know a magician that fakes an accent because they're just more likable. And it's true.
Yeah.
We're at the convention and this kid's standing there. He's not even really doing anything except speaking. And just in him talking, he's getting people around him, like flooding around. And I'm like, well, what the hell's he's not even doing card tricks.
Sure.
It's just the accent. You seem likable and approachable and smarter. Anyone with a British accent inherently sounds more educated, which if you get to know G, you'll know is far from the truth. But
I used to live in Oxford. I'll have you know.
Yeah,
that was waiting.
It's unfair.
Yeah,
it's an unfair advantage.
So that's actually leads me to a good question. How much of what you all do is about showmanship, or the actual trick, or I guess piece of technology being shown off itself?
It's a great. He just touched on this over the weekend. He just had an experience that is a great point to that.
I wrote like a big post. So I obviously, working with you, we develop tricks for magicians. So a lot of my material, a lot of Adam's material is stuff that we go out and practice at gigs. And for the last few months, I've sort of been so busy that I haven't gone out and taken those gigs. So I had a neighbor offer me a gig, and it was for a cancer charity. So I thought, like, I might as well use my evening for something productive and something good. And I'm not getting paid for it, so there's no pressure. I'm just doing it to test out some new material and some new ideas. And I turned up after having like a year off, and the reactions I got were out of balance with what the effect was. So the effects are like top-notch things that have been performed by magicians all over the world, or things that I performed in the past. And they got light applauses and smiles and comments like, "Oh, okay, actually, that was amazing," rather than screams and cheers and high fives. And it was just like really, it made me realize that there's a difference between being a magician and being an entertainer. And there's two things. You can be technically brilliant, but But if you haven't got a stage presence, if you haven't got showmanship, if you haven't got wit, then it all falls by the wayside, and you end up being a guy who can do tricks rather than being a magician or rather than being a performer.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think what we do is entertainment over anything else. It's not, you're an entertainer. It doesn't matter. I mean, at the end of the day, you can buy all the tricks, but if you're not an entertainer, you'll do your one show and you won't get booked back. You know, the best in the world do classic magic tricks on stage, but they put their, people aren't watching them doing magic tricks. They're watching them as a performer and as a person. And the best, I mean, Copperfield is nothing like Lance Burton, who is nothing like, you know, Dynamo, who is nothing like it. Nobody has the same, while they might be doing the same tricks. I've seen Copperfield and Lance Burton do the exact same trick, and you would never know that it's the same trick because it's so different the way they present it. And I think first and foremost, if you're trying to make a living as a magician, there's hobbyist magicians, there's creators, there's, you know, there's a lot of different kinds of magicians, but if you want to be a magician who's a worker and making money from it, you have to be first and foremost a businessman, secondly a performer and an entertainer, and then lastly magic. I mean, magic is the conduit or the tool to get your performance in front of people. You know, and it's got to fool them. It's got to be good magic, but just having good magic and fooling people does not make you a magician by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. So, you know, one could probably correlate that to you all as a business as well. You know, obviously, you do a great job of entertaining people. The videos that you all do to promote those two devices, you know, it's fantastic stuff. Like, you know, the sound effects, the videography, it's just great. It's very appealing. But, you know, from an outside perspective, I think it looks awesome. But on an internal perspective, have you had any challenges bringing it to market, or has, you know, the videos and the marketing tactics really just paid itself off and helped y'all get that viral reach and, of course, customers as a result?
Yeah.
The first one was rough. I mean, the first one is, I thought, a killer video, but it got a lot of, I mean, the whole intention is to sell this to magicians. We already have a very large following in the magic world. People know who we are. They know when we put something out. We've been in business the longest. Ellusionist started the idea of what it is now. So that, you know, we put things out to look cool and let kids know that you don't have to be a dorky cliche, what people think of as a magician. You know, you can be a cool person and do magic. And we do that very well. And that's a huge shout out to Peter McKinnon, who is our production manager, who does all that. He's a friggin' genius. I mean, he can look at anything, he can take a deck of cards and tell a story in a minute and a half that will have you engaged and want to rewatch. It's a talent that can't be taught. So that's him that does that. But the first Pyro trailer went on Reddit, and it got so popular on Reddit because of all the people talking trash and saying how, I think a couple of my favorite lines were, and keep in mind, I'm the guy in the trailer, so this is all directed at me. They don't know anything else except the guy they see in the trailer. And one was, there's a scene where we're in the desert in Vegas and we're lighting off fireworks. And one of the comments was, what kind of numbnuts goes to the desert and lights off fireworks? This guy should be tied to a post and beaten to death.
That's lovely.
That's one. The second was, looks like nothing but an overweight hipster with a beer belly walking around the desert trying to look cool. So it was a lot of hatred, a lot of negativity, and a lot of people saying, I don't know what this device even is.
Right.
Oh, great, it's got an on-off switch, and just hatred and negativity. But any press is good press, and that went people started buying it and playing with it and loving it.
Sure.
And we changed that for the second trailer. The second trailer is a lot more informative. It's a lot cleaner. There's no Ferraris driving around, and people seem to think that we spend thousands and thousands of dollars on our production budgets, which is humorous. It's a team of 3 or 4 guys and a guy who's outrageously talented, knowing what he's doing, that makes these things look like they're blockbuster cinematic trailers, where in reality it's not. It's having an awesome team that knows what they're doing. So people just joke about, oh, they spend $1 million on this stupid trailer, but so we learned the first one.
I was chatting to Pete as well.
What's that?
Adam, funny you should say that. I was chatting to Pete, so like about the pyro shot, the opening shot sweeps up almost as if we've done it on a crane or we're using a drone or something. And I was chatting to Pete and I was saying, how did you get that shot? It's amazing. And he said, I just ran up the hill with a steady cam.
Well, so the CEO, Brad Christian of the company, is there filming, obviously. And we're out there and it's hot. And I'm like, he's just stand on this rock. And fine, I'll stand on the rock. And then he runs up and tries it. And he goes, Brad, stand right below him, off a little bit to the side. I'm going to run up. I'm going to hand you the camera. Once I do, just raise your arm with the camera. And we don't know what the hell he's doing. We're just fine. And he does it and he passes it off and comes back down and he looks at it and goes, okay, we're good. On to the next thing.
Sure.
Not knowing that it would turn into a really beautiful shot that anyone who knows about making films would go, man, they must have had a crane or a drone. Or in reality, it's him being slick with his. There's another shot that he's done that looks like we have this really intensive slider gimmick, right? And this really cool pan shot. It's like, it's not a slider. I took an ironing board or something, took a cloth, put the camera on it and just walked with the cloth, but it saves, $15,000 on a slider and he gets the same thing.
That's
so
awesome.
It's having guys like that on the team that are super creative, that it's guerrilla. I mean, it's guerrilla style stuff, but it looks like we're spending $200,000 on the advert of a thing when it's not the case. I think we've elevated our trailer significantly to make it more understanding of what the product is, where the first one was just like, let's make this as epic as possible. So I'm all in all extremely happy with how everything's come out.
It's like Adam said, it is playing with fire, but if you use it responsibly, you're going to have loads of fun. We got one of the guys at Xbox was literally on the Microsoft Xbox campus, and he did a periscope the other day of shooting it over the volleyball thing that they've got outside.
Sure.
In broad daylight. But it's kind of like Adam said, the first one we were chatting to Roman Atwood, the prankster, Roman Atwood, and he was like, "Oh man, such high production value. We can't believe it got so many dislikes on YouTube." And the second one, we rented out a penthouse in Toronto, and we just thought about, what do people want to know? Let's ditch all the shots of deserts and things and just give them exactly what they want to know, which is, what can I do with it?
Right.
How much is it going to cost? What are the added features? Is it better than the last one? Is it cheaper? And just trying to answer all those in the easiest way possible.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have seen so many product videos. I can tell you firsthand that, the fact that you at least have the product breakdown into the different components, the pricing, the functionality, that's all you really need. And then the rest is all just show, and it's great. But it was substantially easier to understand, I guess, for someone who was first time seeing it. I mean, I've seen it before, but
and again, you have to realize most of what we do is for magicians. We sell magic to magicians, so you have to be very cautious. You don't want to. If you make a coin vanish and say, "Here, I'm going to teach you how to make that coin vanish," and this is what you're buying, you have to. There's things you can't say or show in a trailer without. A lot of our business is people wanting to know how something works. If they can figure out how something works in a trailer. And a lot of the magic I do and G does as well is magic that magicians know how it works.
Right.
So if you show a start to finish full performance of an effect, especially the magic I do and create, people are going to go, "Oh, I know that move. I know that move. I now know the effect." When in reality, what you're buying the construction of the effect and the presentation and the idea that the artist put all this together, and now you've got a complete package.
Yeah.
So you're selling intellectual property, and to show all of that in a trailer, you're losing all your sales because they'll say, "Oh, I don't have to buy that now. I know how it works." So the first Pyro trailer, there had to be some secretism behind it. And we were selling to magicians, right? That's who we sell to.
Sure.
And the general public sees that as you're hiding something. And what's all with all these edits? And, it's a different world. So with the second one, there had to be a fine line. We knew regular people are going to see this.
Right.
They're going to want to know what it is. We're going to eliminate a bunch of questions if we just put it in the trailer.
Sure.
And it worked. And now people go, "Oh, I totally understand what this product is. I get it." Not, "Well, what is the thing?" Or so it's a different making a commercial for a magic trick. There's a lot more that goes into it than it just film the trick and have people buy it. You have to be smart about what you show them. Wow. There's that American wow again. But but while not coming off as being secretive or doing sneaky edits.
Sure.
And some companies will do some sneaky editing where what you see is not what you get, and that's false advertising. That's wrong.
Sure.
So there's a very fine line that we have to sort of balance on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with that said, we're running a little bit low on time. I don't want to keep you too long on a Friday, but let's go with like a fun question. Let's say tomorrow it was the end of the world. What would you go out with your like just blow people's mind trick? What would be like the top thing that you would want to do to end all tricks?
Well, if tomorrow was the end of the world, then the last thing I would be doing is magic. I would go scoop my kids up and, squeeze them forever. But if I had one last trick to do forever, and that was like that's what you're remembered by, I can't really even say it because it'll be coming out next year.
Oh, snap.
G knows what it is. It uses two of my favorite things, which is magic and music, and it incorporates those two in a really impossible, weird. When people find out the method of it, I think they're going to be like, "What a freak! This guy's such a weirdo. Who would think of that?" And that's probably at least what I'm most excited about right now. I would unveil that to the world, I think.
That is very cool. Cool. I guess we'll have to just kind of keep our eyes peeled on that one then.
Yes, you hopefully you'll hear about it when it comes out. So,
how would you end it? What's your favorite trick that you would I guess end all tricks to?
Well, as in end a performance or end of the world?
Either one, you pick.
I think favorite trick. It's hard to say. There's one where you ask somebody to hold on to a card and they put it in their pocket. And I remember it fondly because I was hired when I was like 17 for a big corporate event. And there was 200 staff members watching. And they said, "What's the best trick that you can do?" After I'd gone and performed tricks. And then I handed somebody a playing card. They put it in their pocket. I said to a girl, "Name any card," and she named any card. And then a few murmurs were saying, "Oh yeah, I thought about that too." And a few other people saying, "Oh no, I chose this one instead." So, "You happy with that one?" She says, "No, I changed my mind." So changed my mind to something else. And then when the other spectator pulled the card out of their pocket, it was the card that she just named. Like the card in the beginning had changed in her pocket. And I was across the room and the place just went crazy. And I've never felt, and this is what magic gives you that some hobbies don't. I suppose pro athletes feel the same thing if they're competing, is that crowd roared and I've gone out of there full of endorphins. I've never felt so good in my life. Is to absolutely nail it and have everyone go crazy. My ears almost pop in. So yeah, that's probably the trick I'd end on. End of the world, I'd probably go out in some Leonardo DiCaprio style fashion where I'd like rent a yacht and with loads of supermodels and cash out every credit card that I could get my hands on and go out in style.
Fair enough. Very cool. Well, guys, I really appreciate your time. I think this has been pretty cool. This has actually been one of the most interesting conversations for Tech.co that I've had. So no offense to the other entrepreneurs, but you all are definitely a different kind of breed of entrepreneurs. So it's very interesting to get like a different perspective on things.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for taking the time, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, Elliot. And appreciate your time as well. I know you're at your parents' house now trying to have some family time. So thanks for...
And here, before you leave, Elliot, we'll leave you from
beer.
Sure.
We'll leave you with a trick over the internet if this works.
That is awesome. That's what I was hoping for.
This very well might not work, but we're gonna give it a shot. So Here, let me do this. I'm gonna tilt my camera down a bit so you can see what's happening. Let me pull the cards out. And this is a very different kind of trick. This isn't even really a magic trick. This is like a sort of an inside look at what magicians do. Can you see these though? Can you see those all right?
Yeah.
You can see that they actually forgot to print. There's no faces or backs on this deck. So as magicians, we get lucky because they'll send us these. You know, it's like a misprinted. They screwed up. But if you're good, you can sort of use these as training wheels as a magician. So when you first start out, you have someone pick a card. Let's say they touch that card. You say, remember that card. It goes in the middle. I snap, and it's now on the bottom. It's pretty good, right?
Sure.
Like I said, training wheels, right? So it's for when you're first starting. But when you get better, you can actually print and make a card appear so it looks like it's there. And if you get really good at it, they start looking like that. Now, that was the card I just thought of. But again, just like any good magic, it doesn't last forever. So if you just wave over it, it's gone. There's no face or back. But the problem there is that we can't play a game of cards, poker, or anything with one card.
Sure.
You need more than one. So let's go for broke. Let's snap 1, 2, and 3 times. That should give us 1, 2, and 3 cards. Not bad. But again, like magic, it doesn't last forever. So there's no faces, no backs. You're right back to where you started. Now, if we all imagine together, we can print not only a face of a card. The face is the easy part. But if we imagine the back, well, the problem, sometimes imagination works in a different way. So the back jumps down to here.
All right.
So watch the queen closely. This is the kicker ending. If you watch the queen, I touch it, that queen vanishes. That back vanishes. We've got no faces, no backs. Now, when you're going to a gig, you can't use a deck like this. So you have to actually cut here, hit the button on the ace. That gives you not just the ace and the back, but the ace and the back, the fronts and backs of every single card in the entire deck. And now you're set to play whatever card game you want to play. But again, like I said, all good magic doesn't last forever. If I take that ace and just rub that, that's gone. The back's gone. The whole deck's gone. And that is the trick.
Man, that is...
There you go.
Adam, you just got so many props for that trick then.
Yeah. I don't know what that hand feature is, but their mind was just blown.
Beautiful. Awesome. Mission accomplished.
That was awesome.
And if you want to learn tricks just like that, go to ellusionist.com.
Ellusionist.com. That's right.
Oh, that was perfect. That was the perfect way to end it. So, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you, dude.
This will probably be published next week, I hope, depending on how much of myself I have to edit out. But yeah, I think this has been awesome. I really appreciate your time.
Likewise. Thanks,
Elliot,
my friend.
as well. Elliot, send us your address.
Sure.
And to me via email, and we've got a cheeky little Christmas present that we'll send you.
All right, very cool.
But make sure your mum doesn't give you 5 beers before you use it, okay?
Fair enough. Always in moderation.
Awesome.
Cheers,
Thanks,
mate.
buddy.
Okay.
See
All
ya.
right, guys.